Hello and welcome to Magical Mondays. So my name is Sheila of Inner Balance Yoga or Inner Balance Sacred Space, and welcome to my channel. So Magical Mondays is a series of practices, and a couple of weeks ago I did the root chakra, and this week we are doing the sacral chakra. Now these practices are not purely about getting on your mat and doing a series of postures. The Magical Monday series at the moment on the chakras is more about the awareness of where these chakras are. So we're looking at Sacral Chakra today, also known as Swadhisthana, which is solely concerned with the area around your urogenital organs and sits within the pelvic cavity. The Sacral Chakra is associated with creativity and primal sexual energy. And if you think about creativity, it doesn't just mean being creative and learning how to be more creative, but if you think about where this chakra is, it's the creation of life also. So the run through today is the awareness of the sacral chakra and whereabouts it is. Then we're going to practice Yoni Mudra with some Shakti awareness. And Yoni Mudra is quite often practiced with the sacral and the root chakra. They're very, very close to each other and are very primal in the things that mean a lot to us in life. Now we're going to do some sacral tapping. And then we're going to start a small yoga practice, starting off with a Sufi grind. And I think the best way to experience deep hip yoga is to do some yin yoga. So today, if you're going to do the physical practice, you are going to need a brick or a block which is quite thick, but maybe one that's quite soft. If your block is hard, you might want to put a blanket over it. And a bolster. If you haven't got a bolster, a couple of pillows stuffed in one pillowcase will do, or a few of them, just to build up and have some nice firmness here. So if you make sure that you have that with you, and we're going to start with the awareness of where the sacral chakra is, Swadhisthana. Now this chakra is the second chakra in the physical body, and like I said, it's in the pelvic cavity region, and it's associated with the element of water. So the root chakra, which we did 2 weeks ago, is associated with the element of earth. And now we're coming up to water here in the pelvic cavity, which is quite good because it's associated with a very watery element in the body. So the pelvic cavity is watery, especially when you are having a baby. The baby sits in amniotic fluid. We also have our urinary organs here, our bladder. And so this is why it's associated with the water element. The colour of this chakra is orange, and the petals are 6, so it was 4 on the root chakra, and now it's come up to 6. So I really do encourage you to look at some images of the water the Sacral Chakra, because it's a really pretty one, and it also has a very tiny crescent moon in it, so that can represent quite a few things. The moon being a watery body, and also the fact that we are in a watery part of the body ourselves. Okay, so all of our chakras lie deep within the body. They don't lie on the surface of the body here. They lie deep within the body. So if you think of your spinal column, your backbone, it's towards the back of the body, but it is going in towards the body a little bit. And then in front of that is where your chakras lie. So they more or less lie in front of the spinal column. And the sacral chakra is quite low. So the root chakra right at the base, near the perineum, at the base of the spine, which you're sitting on, so you should be able to really notice that root chakra. But the sacral chakra is only up very, very tiny bit into the pelvic cavity. So if you come and feel your backbone and feel right at the bottom here, is this really bony part here is your pelvis, the back of your pelvis. And here is a triangular bone called the sacrum. So sacrum being very, very close to the word sacral, okay? And here is your tailbone. So if you feel right at the bottom where your tailbone is, and then come up maybe a few centimetres or a couple of inches into this sacral region here, that might be a little bit bony and protruding. So if you just have a good press there, have a good press it in. And then what I want you to do is bring your hands around, follow the line all the way around, and you will come to here. So that line should be in line with your fingers here. So this, about 3 or 4 centimetres, couple of inches away from your belly button, and above your pubic bone is your pelvic cavity, and this is where your sacral chakra is, okay? But it's not here right at the front, it's way in towards the spine, which is why I'm getting you to press this sacral area here. Okay, so just make sure that's in line when you bring your hands around. So have a good press here and a good press at the front. So you become aware of where it is. So it's fairly low in the lower abdominals, pelvic cavity. Okay. So next, we're going to go on to a mudra. So a mudra is a hand gesture. And this Yoni Mudra is quite often used when you are using the root and the sacral chakra together, or the sacral chakra alone. So the mudra is a diamond shape, and when you make this hand gesture, it's very, very similar to the female genital organs. So what I want you to do is you're going to take your index and thumb together, And the remaining fingers, 3 fingers from your middle finger to your little finger in, so making this gesture, and that represents the pelvic cavity and the female genital organs. And then you turn it upside down and you sit it right here where your sacral chakra is. So just make yourselves comfortable. Just let your hands rest on your hips with your Yoni Mudra, and close your eyes. So like I said, Yoni Mudra is the hand gesture of the female genital organs. So right at the base of your spine is a coiled up snake. And this is Kundalini. And one of the aims of yoga is to let that Kundalini rise up through the chakras until it reaches the top where Shakti meets Shiva, and you are working towards bliss. Now the Shakti energy has got to do a lot of work, so you have to reawaken your root chakra and then your sacral chakra and then the solar plexus, your heart chakra, and the throat chakra, the third eye, all the way up to the crown. So this is why we work on lots of different chakras when we're doing yoga postures. So all sorts of yoga have the same sort of aim, the same sort of goal, and it is to reach bliss, to reach enlightenment. But Shakti, that lies at the base of the spine, has an awful lot of work to do. So Shakti is the female energy, the feminine side of the universe. She is a Hindu goddess that represents female energy. And Yoni Mudra helps us to intensify the flow of prana. So Shakti is many things, but she is initially the flow of prana. And what we are now going to do is just a tiny little pranayama, breathing exercise, with our hands in Yoni Mudra. And we're going to visualize the breath passing through a channel called Sushumna, and this is a central channel. So what I said earlier on about the chakras running in front of your spine, if you imagine these chakras are attached to this this rod that literally goes through the front of your spinal column, the central channel of energy, this Sushumna, and these chakras are attached to it, and this is what you're going to be passing your prana through as we breathe in and out. So we're going to imagine that our breath is prana, and it is prana, it is a form of prana. So just settle your breath. Have your spine nice and tall. Become aware of the root chakra. Your sit bones connected to the earth. And then become aware of the sacral chakra. Becoming aware of that bony protrusion in your spine. Feeling where it is at the front, and your Yoni Mudra. You're going to start to lengthen the breath. So send the air deep down towards your navel, towards your diaphragm. Slowly feel your lower ribs expand and contract. And the soft part of your belly underneath your ribs. Slowly moving in and out as you bring all the air, the prana, deep into your lungs. Keep your breath even, deep and slow. And now imagine a tube going from the root chakra all the way through the middle of your body, through your sacral chakra, all the way up to the crown of your head. So going through your neck to the crown of your head. So prana is life energy, a form of life energy, and it enters through the breath. It goes through the body via nadis, which are like smaller nerve-like energy channels. And you're going to visualize the breath as you inhale, flowing up from this tube, from your root chakra, all the way up to the crown of your head. And as you exhale, imagine that energy, that prana, flowing all the way back down the tube towards your root chakra. Inhale slowly, drawing the air up from the root, going through the sacral region, all the way up to the crown of the head. Exhale slowly back down. Let's carry on doing this. I want you to really use your visualization skills here. Drawing the energy up, drawing prana up. And also remember that this life force, this prana, is also Shakti. Keep your focus on what you're doing, your visualization of drawing the energy up. Because having this focus will let your mind and body also come into stillness. And again, if thoughts do enter your head, just let them go and return to the practice. Let's take a few more breaths in and out. And on your next exhale, just let go of the visualization of Sushumna. Just bring your awareness to the sacral area. Just press your little pinky fingers in towards your pelvic cavity. And open your eyes and let go of the mudra. Okay, so we're going to do another exercise on the sacral chakra, and this is sacral tapping. So you may have heard of tapping. Tapping is related to traditional Chinese medicine, and you are trying to heal and balance and tapping certain parts of your body where you have acupoints, so acupressure points. So for this, what I want you to do is to draw your thumbs in towards your hands and then gently bring your fingers over your thumbs. And then what you're going to do is, where that sacral region is that we've been becoming more aware of, we are going to tap that with the little finger side. So you're not doing it very, very gently. Also, you're not going to be thumping into and hurting yourself. So if you do have any problems with your pelvis, then obviously do not do this practice, or maybe just do it really gently if you want to experience it. But the tapping we're going to do about 30 times, and you're going to alternate it like this. Okay, so sitting up nice and strong, you're going to breathe normally, and we're going to start now. So tapping into that pelvic region. A few more. It's almost like a little massage. So in a moment we're going to start our short yoga practice. Well, this will be a little bit longer because it's yin. We're going to be holding the postures. And we're going to start off with a Kundalini practice, which is the Sufi grind. So you need to sit with your legs crossed if you can. And the Sufi grind is almost bringing our awareness to a lot of our chakras. So the base chakra, the sacral chakra, and then you'll get a feeling about the heart chakra and the throat. But primarily we're doing it because we want to become more aware of the sacral chakra, the feeling that it's making within our body. So it's quite flowing and watery. So that's why I've chosen to start our yoga practice off with Sufi grind. So hands on your knees, and again this is like a massage of the spine. It's a full spinal working. Okay, so pop your hands on your knees and just start to make circles, just to begin with, moving your hips around in a circle and feeling the sit bones rock around on the floor, feeling the pelvis move side to side, front and back in a circle. Feeling your tummy muscles, your lower tummy muscles underneath your belly button starting to engage as you rock back and release as you rock forwards. So again, this is bringing that sacral awareness element into your practice. You're just going to change directions. So just trying to move the hips and not too much of the body, although the body will flow in its natural rhythm, but just trying to bring the awareness to the root and the sacral area for the time being. Okay, we're going to change direction. And now you're going to make the circles much bigger. So you're going to bring the whole of the body into the mix. Try and get it nice and flowing. Feeling the spine round and contract and lengthen. So really feeling the sacral chakra working. And now the heart chakra, as it comes out and caves back in again. So this is a really good practice to start, and many Kundalini practitioners actually start off with their class with Sufi grind, change direction, because it raises Shakti energy. So while we finish off doing it to the other side, just bring your awareness to that sacral chakra, the root chakra, to the Shakti energy. Breathing in and out rhythmically. And release. Okay, grab your props. So, the reason why I have chosen to do yin for this practice is because yin offers some really deep hip openers. All yoga does actually. But when we lie in stillness and hold a posture for 2 to 3 minutes, then it really draws our attention to the area of the body that it's serving. So if you did my root chakra class a couple of weeks ago, some Magical Mondays on the 1st and the 3rd Monday of every month. So the first one on the root chakra, I tried to keep the postures that were grounding and rooting with the hips square. Okay, apart from one which we started off when we were bringing our awareness to Mula Bandha. I tried to keep those postures with the hips square, because when it comes to the sacral chakra and this area, we're working on opening that area, because we want to let go of a lot of stuff. Your hips are connected to a big muscle that comes down your spinal column in your lumbar spine, called the psoas muscle. And this muscle that connects to like the lower vertebrae of your spine actually comes down and weaves its way through your pelvic bones and then hooks onto the inside of your thighs, and they call this the muscle of the soul. So a lot of hip openers can release a lot of pent up stagnant energy and anxieties and things like that. So don't be surprised if you're that sort of person that you might find it a little bit emotional. Okay, so the sacral chakra, I wanted to make sure that we did hip openers as opposed to things that we work on the hips but the hips are straight, so you get that feel of what's different. Okay, so all our postures are hip openers today, trying to open up the hips and work the hip flexors and this psoas muscle that is very, very much connected to the sacral area, our sacral chakra, Swadhisthana. So we're going to start in bridge pose, but bridge pose is going to be with straight legs. So you want to grab a foam block that's going to be quite soft, and if you haven't got something that's soft, use a book maybe and then put a blanket over it. So you can always make props with stuff around the house. So I mentioned the sacral bone at the back of your pelvis earlier, and this is where the block is going to be. And you do want it on the lowest setting, you don't want it high, just the lowest setting. Okay, so pop your block onto the floor, and then pop your sacrum onto the block. And then just let your legs extend out. So it's just this lower pelvic area that is protruding up towards the sky. So it's like a sort of like a little shavasana. So bring your arms away from your body and turn your palms upwards. And just let your body become heavy. Let your body rest into this block. And by all means, if you don't think it's in the right position, then have a wriggle around. Don't stay like this for a few minutes if you feel uncomfortable. And if it is too much for you, then perhaps use a blanket so it's a little bit lower. So we're just going to stay here for a couple of minutes. And I do invite you to perhaps, when we're doing this yin practice, maybe to put a little bit of gentle music on if you want to. We're going to come to silence and just become aware of the breath. And let your body become heavy. We're just going to take a few more breaths here in supported bridge. You want to gently bend your knees. So lift up your back. Pop that block away. And just bring your knees into your chest. Let your spine just push gently into the floor. You do suffer with a little bit of a sacroiliac problems, you might just want to massage that little area there. This massage is very, very soothing, so you want to roll around on that sacral bone. And that sacral bone, that triangular bone that I was talking about earlier on, has got these symmetrical holes in it, and your nerves that run down your spinal column actually go through these holes in your sacrum. So change direction if you're doing the sacral massage. And yes, this little rolling around on that sacrum can become quite soothing to that nervous system. Okay, bring your legs down, bring the soles of your feet together, and let your knees drop out to the side for supine Baddha Konasana, Supta Baddha Konasana, or cobbler's pose on your back, or butterfly on your back. and just let your knees become heavy. So this is where you want to feel this nice opening of your hip flexors. Again, we're going to come into stillness for a few minutes. Just make sure that your chin is tucked down towards your chest slightly. You don't want to be craning your neck up into the air. If that does happen, then maybe you need to put something with a little bit of height just under your head. Keep your arms away from your body, palms up. Become aware of your feet. Make sure your feet and your toes are relaxed. That your legs are relaxed. Your legs are heavy. Your knees, you're using them as weights. So try not to guard this hip area, especially if you do have tight hips. We can be a little bit guarding, and we might want to be contracting and pulling the knees up rather than trying to let go. So just be aware of that. Have your lower tummy muscles just engaged slightly. This will help the back become strong while you're in this position. Relax your upper back into the floor. Have your eyes closed, arms are relaxed and heavy. If you want to make this posture a little bit more pronounced with the sacral element, you might find just lying on the floor perfect for you. You do not have to do this if you don't want to. So you can use a bolster, have it lengthways. Push that bolster into the middle of your back. Just let your head rest on it. So now your hips are being pushed forwards, they're opening, and also your heart is opening, so you're doing a little back bend as well. If your head is tipped too far back, then again you might want to pop something under your head. When you're doing yin, you do not want to feel that your body is under stress or strain that is leaning towards the painful side. Obviously you're going to feel things opening and stretching, and that is absolutely fine, but you don't want it to be unbearable. Another few breaths here. maybe becoming aware of excuse me, becoming aware of the sacral area, the chakra deep within the body. If you are on a bolster for the second part of this Baddha, you want to just gently bring your legs up, roll off your your bolster, pop it away, and again everybody bring knees in, perhaps do a little bit of massaging again around that sacral area. So you're trying to just massage that sacral bone, that knobbly bit at the back of your pelvis. And once you find that and you get this right, you do find it very, very soothing. Change direction. So if you're feeling a little bit stressed, I do recommend doing this sacral massage. Okay, pop your feet down onto the floor. We're going to do a figure of 4 with our legs, another hip opener. So you're going to cross your right ankle over your left knee. And if you get into the right position, this knobbly bit on the outside of your ankle will just find a little dip just above your knee. You want to have your right foot flexed, and then you're going to take your right hand onto your right knee and gently push on to the knee. You're going to get a nice little hip opener into the right side. Just going to stay here for about a minute. And then if you want to, you can progress on to the second step. Gently press into your knee. And the second step is lifting that left foot off the floor, threading your hands through the gap, perhaps holding on to the back of your leg or the back of your shin. And what you want to do is gently pull that left leg towards you. Now make sure you're not going off to the side. You want your back to be symmetrical on the floor, the hips symmetrical and in balance on the floor. And then if you pull that knee towards you slightly and keep the right leg out to the side, then you can feel that stretch deepening, unless you've got really, really wonderfully flexible hip flexors. Just close your eyes, let your back sink into the floor. Keep your right foot flexed. Keep the pressure on the left leg to draw it in, and keep that right leg out. Such a wonderful stretch this is if you've got tightness on the inside or outside of your hips. And we're going to change legs, so gently bring it down. And you're going to cross your left ankle over your right knee. Find that little sweet spot I was talking about, where your ankle bone can fit into a little dip. Flex your left foot. Just gently press the left knee out with your hand. Just going to stay here for about a minute before we go deeper into the movement. You can stay here if you want to. Remember, the second movement is just an option. And if you want to do the second bit, lift your right foot off the floor, drawing the knee closer to your body. Make sure your left knee stays out to the side. Thread your hands through, hold on to the back of your thigh or your shin. Make sure your legs are not going over to the left. Make sure you're even on your spine. Now that is a common issue, that the legs go off because you've got your left leg going out to the side. Your body just wants to naturally go that way, but try and keep nice and even on the back of your spine and your pelvis. Again, make sure your chin is not up in the air. Pull it towards your chest a little. Just try and relax as much as you can into this posture. Keep your left foot flexed back towards your left knee. Maybe because we've done two different sides, just compare how this side feels to the other side. Is it lighter, looser, tighter? Can you feel it in different areas? Few more breaths here. gently release. Let's bring both knees into your chest, give them a hug, and roll up on to your side, coming up. So now we are going to do deer posture. So what you want is your left leg coming straight out from your hip, and your left shin parallel maybe to the edge of your yoga mat if you're using one, or in line with a wall. So you want this area to be 90 degrees or right angle, and then you're going to do the same with the back leg. So right angle, 90 degrees here. So you're going to just gently fold over your front leg. Use your elbows for support. You may want to start here and then just go a little bit deeper in a moment. So yes, in Yin Yoga, this posture is called deer pose, and there is a very similar posture in Hatha Yoga called pigeon pose. And this is a little bit of a more relaxed posture. It's not as intense. Although I suppose it could be intense if you really do have tight hips. You want to come down a little bit deeper. You can lie right over the knee. Perhaps use a block or a bolster for your head. Just let your head rest on something. Or a block maybe. A few more breaths here, and then we're going to change sides. And gently use your arms to push yourself up, and just literally swap over to the other side. So remember, you want to make that 90-degree angle. with your legs. So basically you want your legs to look like a swastika. And then gently come down, rest on your elbows. We'll come a little bit deeper over your knee. Relax your body as much as you can. Have your feet flexed a little. Let's come into a little bit of stillness. Noticing how this hip may differ from the other side. And then tuning in to your breath. And even think about tuning in to the breath as a source of prana. Few more breaths. Very, very slowly, using your hands to come up out of it. And bring your legs into a wide open position. Okay. So, when you sit in wide leg positions like this, it's good to have your hips elevated, particularly if your back does things like rounding like this. So pop a folded up blanket underneath your sit bones, or a little sponge foam block, just to elevate your hips a little before you come into a wide leg. And you can stay like this if this hip opening posture is enough for you. You may want to just lean forward slightly, rest on your hands, or you might want to come even further forwards and rest on a bolster. So they are your three options. So once you're there, what I would recommend is that even though you have your feet flexed, don't have them flexed back really hard, you know, because this posture can be quite strong on the groin, on the inside of the hips. So I would recommend that you just relax the feet just a little, still have them flexed slightly but relaxed. And also with the legs, the knees, don't push your knees into the floor, okay? You don't want your legs to be really strong and rigid. Soften the knees a little, so you have a little give, a little bit of bend in the back of the knees, and that, I think, just takes the pressure off of this posture a little, because even I do feel it on the inside of my thighs as well. Okay, so they are my tips for this posture, particularly when you're doing it in a yin style. Okay, so just rest where you need to. Try to keep your thoughts at bay. Try not to let your thoughts invade you. Keep your attention on your breath. Notice in your body where you are feeling the stretch. If it's too severe, how can you rectify that for yourself? A few more breaths in this position. Gently come out of it. Pop your bolster to one side if you're using one. Just for a moment, we're going to come into a very low lunge. Bring your right foot forwards. Send your left knee back and come into a deep lunge. just support yourself with your hands. And then just gently come back, change sides, sink down, make sure you send your right knee back, just sink low. Hopefully after this practice you should really notice that you have worked on your hips, your hip flexors. So the hip flexors being connected to the sacral joint. The sacral, sorry, not the joint, the sacral chakra. Okay, gently release. Then come down into a Shavasana. Just send your legs out, have your feet as wide as your hips or a little bit wider, arms away from your body, palms up. Chin tucked in towards your chest a little. Just bring your awareness to the muscles in your face. And let them soften, let them relax. Almost bring a little smile to your face. Relax your jaw and your tongue. Let your head become heavy. Let it sink into the floor. Relax your shoulders. Relax your arms, your wrists, your hands. Your fingers should be lightly curled. Arms long and heavy. Relax your upper back into the floor. Just feeling the movement of your chest and your belly as you gently breathe in and out. Relaxing your lower back into the floor, relaxing the glutes, your buttock muscles. Letting the pelvis become heavy so you can relax the hips, relax the thighs. Make sure the knees are soft. Relax the shins, the calf muscles. Your ankles, your feet and your toes. Just letting the legs become long and heavy. Just drawing your attention to the gentle rise and fall of your breath. Just let go. Relax into the earth. few breaths in Shavasana. Make sure your body is completely relaxed, just soaking up the benefits of that little yin practice. Particularly bringing your awareness to the pelvic region, the glutes, the top of the thighs, the hips. Just really relaxing the area and letting the pelvis become heavy. Become aware of the body making that connection to the floor. Feel the back of the heels, the back of the legs, back of the pelvis, the spine, the back of the shoulders and arms, back of the head, being supported. Gently move your fingers, your toes. Make fists with your hands, stretch them out, point and flex your feet. Draw your knees into your chest, push your spine into the floor. Perhaps just for a moment, do a couple of little sacral massages. Finding that little sacral triangular bone at the back of the pelvis. Giving a little massage, change direction. Nice and slow. Slower you go, better it feels. And then gently roll over and come up into a comfortable seated position. So thank you for joining me in this practice. I hope you have found it a little bit more useful, as in terms of locating the sacral chakra. And if you like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. It's fairly new, there's not a lot on it at the moment, but I promise you it will be building up very slowly. And if you want some extra practices and challenges, or into health and well-being in general, as well as yoga, then you'll find a little button on the right hand side of my banner on my YouTube channel, and that will lead you directly to my private Facebook group, where you will find all manner of things and some little extra practices. And I really look forward to seeing you very soon, and perhaps on my private Facebook group. Thank you ever so much. Namaste.